Hey,
Hi,
Jeff,
Gail.
how are you?
Good. How are you?
Hanging in there.
Good.
Yep.
All set, all ready for the bombogenesis on Friday? Did you hear about that?
The bombogenesis?
Well, these are these crazy terms that the weather folks cook up, you know, to frighten us all to death. And apparently we're going to really get something. Many inches of warm rain, and then a drop in temperature of over 30 degrees in less than an hour or two. It's going to be quite
Oh
something.
my.
Yeah.
Oh my. Is it for all of Massachusetts?
Yes, from what I can gather.
Oh.
And will be subjected to that. And there may be a little bit of snow at the end of it, but it's going to be a warm rain that's going to melt everything in sight. So no more white Christmas, I guess, if everybody was hoping for that.
Yeah. Oh, that's a bummer. I have to drive to Boston that day. Do you know what time the weather cyclone drop is happening?
Well, no, I don't. It's I know that from the Boston, I listen to WGBH FM in Boston, and the weather forecaster, who gets quite carried away with forecasting, said that that the heavy rain would be in the morning, the warm rain would be in the 50s to 60s, and then it would drop, the temperature would drop precipitously in the late afternoon. So maybe from 3 to 6 o'clock, he said it would fall from that temperature down into the lower 20s, and then that evening it's going to go down to like 5 degrees. It's just an enormous swing in temperatures.
Wow. That's really weird, huh?
Hmm.
Well, looks like I'm driving to Boston early that day.
Well, I hope you don't run into any trouble, but it could be a rough day for travel. And who is
this new broadband member?
Yeah.
The new broadband member is, what's your name? You want to say who you are? This is my grandson, and his name is Cal or Caleb. Caleb, yes. So wow. Cal, we're hanging out tonight because we've sent his parents off to go to their first date. Cal, this is Jim, and that's Gail. Okay. And,
hi, Caleb.
Yeah.
Hi, Caleb.
Do you want to tell them what you did today, Cal? Probably not. But anyways, will you have a quorum if I almost immediately disappear? I don't even want to mess up your minutes, Jim, by coming and then going. What do you know whether you have? Where is Steve going to make it?
We do. Steve is signing in. Steve is signing in right now.
Okay.
Another option, Graham, is you could stay and just put yourself on mute and listen.
Okay, that's a good idea. Yeah, okay,
And
you're right. Yeah.
And if you'd like to just, and then, you know, jump back in if we need to vote on anything, or if
Okay.
you have a question.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there much on the agenda?
No, it's going to be a quick one.
No big decisions either, right?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll mute. We'll mute ourselves, won't we, Cal? It's not something that a 2.5-year-old likes to do, muting themselves. But
No, I do wish they
but-
came with mute buttons, but they do not.
Okay. Okay, and if I disappear, certainly we'll be able to get the minutes tidied away. I liked last month's minutes, so okay, I'm muting now. Okay.
Okay.
Are you in Vermont, Graham? Up north? Whoops.
I would say that the fishes on the wall suggest yes, he
Yes,
probably is in Vermont.
okay. All right.
Yep.
Okay, just a question before we start. The Shutesbury Elementary School, maybe, you know, how many connections do they have? Just one gigabit connection? Just one?
No,
And there's no other connection that involves us in any way. Like U28 doesn't have a separate connection.
they just pay for the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I-
Well,
I see.
it's I was examining, and we're about to talk about on the finance committee, the budget for the Shutesbury Elementary School, which is always an eye popper. And the communications, the networking and telecommunications line went up by 200%, a substantial increase. And I'm trying to figure out what it is that they're spending all this money on. But I just wanted to check to be sure that it was just a single connection, which is what I thought it was.
Yeah, from us, that's all they're paying for. But
Yeah.
I do, and from
the-
my conversations with Debbie Lee and their tech guy there, who I can't remember, they do pay for a PBX phone system,
Yeah.
which which Crocker manages. They
Mhm.
pay for a managed firewall, also managed by Crocker.
Mhm.
And I don't know what other internal IT services they might have for those that above and beyond that.
Yeah. Well, I knew all of that. I knew about the Crocker connection with PBX and all the rest of it, but still, that would have been in place, in years past. So I'm just trying to account for this huge increase. It was the most dramatic increase in the entire budget. So anyway,
Okay.
I just was checking.
Yep, they're just paying for one from us. I mean, they're not even paying for a phone line. It's $60 a month now is what they're paying for their connection, because they have
hardly a budget breaker. Yes.
You would not think so.
No.
All right. Steve, you didn't hear Graham is in Vermont and he's on babysitting duty tonight with Caleb. So he's going to be muted for most of the meeting. So let's
And are we not expecting Craig?
I don't think so. I didn't hear back from him either way. But we have quorum, so let's go ahead. Ooh, I see we have some dinosaurs in attendance up in the upper right-hand corner. Look at that. All right, first order of business.
Gail, you're bored. Are dinosaurs.
What's that?
You're bored. You've got 3 dinosaurs.
I know. All right, so first order of business is approving the minutes from November 16th. I saw that Jim put some, accepted some edits on there. So can I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Thank you. All in favor of approving?
Aye. From
Great.
Stefton.
All right, our hut. So my news from the hut, and then I'll let Graham go, if he wants to say anything, is that Holyoke Gas and Electric is now monitoring everything. The codes have been changed. I sent that around over email. So both Simply Safe and the outside door code are up and running now. Graham, anything to add?
Yeah, and I went in and flipped the HVAC for the month, and after you changed the codes, and it worked fine for me, and
Great.
and everything else in order. And no critters have moved in that are obvious, so it all looked good. And I saw that Shelders removed their whatever they were testing there. They had that little test bench there for a few ONTs, and so I guess they're happy with that. And yeah, so all look good.
Yep, Crocker has to get in there and remove some minor equipment, but Sheld is going to coordinate that with them and take care of it. Oh, question for you, Graham. When you went in there, did the phone ring?
No, it did not, and it has not. It has not since Sheld took over the thing. So that's
Okay.
That's twice.
Yeah, it didn't ring either when I was in there. So I will follow up on that, because Northeast Communication should be calling
Yeah.
as an extra check there and keeping a record of who's going in and out.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Almost very few maintenance calls for the month. We're still hitting the tail end of the phone porting. Sirius Community is going to port tomorrow, so this should be the last one. But it's been quite the project to get all of our customers moved over to the new phone services. And any other maintenance or service questions?
You'll probably get to the bill paying part of it next. I was wondering about that, but that's probably coming in your report.
Yeah, I'll talk about the finances in a minute.
Okay.
So one thing that's happening is we've had about half dozen of our cyber what's it called? I can't remember the name. Cyber something, the battery backups that we bought have started to fail slowly, which is expected. They're at the tail end of their 3-year lifespan. And the biggest problem with these is that they don't have a power cord. So when they fail, and they really fail, the user just can't unplug them and then take it out and then plug their own T back in, because there's a special power cord. Most of the customers either A, didn't get them, or B, threw them out. So
I saved mine.
I bet you did. I bet you did. But we ordered a batch earlier to anticipate this, that they'd start failing. So Bobby Liswell is gonna drop off a small batch of them to me tomorrow, because what we don't really want to do is have to roll a truck every time somebody needs one of these cords. So I have some ideas about it. I mean, they're tiny. What I'm thinking is that maybe I could, if Grace at the town hall is willing, I could just leave a little stash with her. And, if customer service directs a customer, they could say, go to the town hall and get that. That's one option. 2, we could just do like white glove service and do drop-offs in people's mailboxes. I know it's kind of illegal. You're not supposed to put anything in somebody's mailbox if it's not a official business, but it Shutesbury.
Well, if they're asking for it, I mean, we go and we ring the doorbell and give it to them.
That's true. I'm just thinking, if I'm the one delivering it, I don't really want to take the time to, go up and have a conversation with them. I just want to give them what they need and go away. So I have to be honest about that yeah, I'd prefer just to do the drop. Anyway.
You're not retired. I'd probably knock on the door and put it in for them. So, but I suppose there might be 100 of them that are going to be failing in the next year or so, right? There.
I don't think it's going to be that fast. I don't think that, because it's just been a trickle. Like I said, we've had half a dozen this year. So it's going to be a slow roll. Is that something you would want to do, Graham? If I gave the batch to you, be the power cord delivery service?
Until it became more than like 3 a month, I would definitely do that. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. That would be wonderful.
Yeah. One a week wouldn't worry me. There are four a month.
Okay. All right.
Because I think
Gail, I also have I collected a few of these when they were doing the installations, and I've got a batch of them here. Not a lot of them, but I can handle some replacement calls if necessary.
Okay, great. Well, between the two of you, then we should be able to handle it. Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking this through a little more and saying, well, okay, a couple things. Some people you could just give them, it's a wall wart effectively, but it's a special connector.
Mhm.
So some people could just give them the thing and say, swap this off for the one you got and find they could do it. There are other people that they wouldn't have a clue when you gave them this thing. What, I go down in the basement and there are all these wires and this, I wouldn't be surprised if half the customers would not be, or a significant number of customers wouldn't be able to handle this. But even beyond that is using that AC adapter, that's a stopgap. What needs to happen is the batteries need to be replaced. And so people need to order the new battery for the UPS or order a whole new UPS, one or the other.
Steve, it's very hard to get the battery. I think for the one we have, one of our customers said they couldn't get a battery for it. So
yeah, we don't offer these anymore, and they're not available over retail. So
Yeah.
you can't actually replace them. Now, we could do a major project, we could buy another batch of them, we could sell them to the customers. I don't think we want to get into that business of doing that, especially because these power sources are available at Staples, they're available on Amazon, and people can, and so the way that we've been handling it so far is that I have a write-up on the website about what to do if your UPS fails and recommendations for what wattage you need to look for, what you need to get if you want to continue having a battery backup.
But the thing is, these are special ones because it's not the wattage, it's the voltage. They're not 120 volt.
They're 12 volt DC.
Yeah. But it's because it's just to power the ONT, which is a low voltage device. So the connector is different.
So they'll need the power supply.
What was that?
They'll need the power supply in addition to buying something at Staples. That's what it comes down to.
Oh, so it gets a little bit clunkier than it is now, but. So,
Steve, I think you're right. Steve, I think you're right when you say that a lot of people won't be able to replace this thing that looks totally different to a wall wart, and it's in the tangle of wires as far as they're concerned. And the other thing is they might mess it up, and then it might be a truck roll. So I think that except for those who are very adept or very confident, it's easier. There's less description and less explanation to just do it for them.
Yeah. But you're saying they no longer make a
Yeah, the guy, one person who tried to find the battery to plug into the thing could not find it, and it's a little more problematic in that Jim, it was you who pointed it out to me the first time. The actual barrel connector is not like quite the standard 12. So you really do need you need
the specialized power cord.
You need the calyx wall wart. Yes.
Yeah, no, that's was my point there. But so they don't make these UPSs with that connector anymore? Is that what I'm hearing?
That seems to be true.
Yeah, I think we could still get them.
Mhm.
but they're not available retail. We would have to buy them as a commercial provider, keep a batch in stock, manage the stock, and then sell them back to customers who wanted them. And also what's happening is people are wanting not just their ONT to be powered, they want their router powered so that they can keep using their, in Wi-Fi when the power goes out, even if they don't have a generator.
Exactly right. Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, I mean, I have two UPSs. I have the one that I bought from
Yeah.
Certex for the ONT, and then I got the biggest one I could get from Amazon to power the router, give me the longest backup time I could on that. So I'm running both of them.
yeah, so the write-up on our website explains this of like, well, you can just replace the ONT one with a small, a tiny one, but if you really want to have internet, not just phone during a power outage, look into getting either two of them, like what you've done, Steve, or get a big one that you can plug them both into. So that's kind of how we're solving this for residents, is saying, hey, you've had this battery backup. We're not offering them anymore. It was just an initial installation thing. If you want to continue this, you either, you need to buy one yourself.
Yeah. We
Steve,
don't really-
I've got to ask Steve if your ONT, the cyber power one, the original one, is only going to hold up maybe a day. Are you able to unplug? Are you able to plug your ONT into the other UPS you have somehow? Or other?
I could I could use the
Okay. Yeah.
the AC adapter.
The 120. It's a 120. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Sorry, Gal. Back to you.
No, no worries. All right. Anything else on those?
I mean, I am just thinking, there's something we could buy and hand out as, this could use some of our surplus on if we just, as a customer service.
Oh, I think we ought to stay out of this. I think Gail's absolutely right on this. There's so many permutations, combinations, and trying to service it and take care of it. I think Gail's suggestion of just advising them to go to Staples and buy a UPS or buy one online from Amazon and plug it in, is the way to go, because then they can get more than just simple ONT backup. I think that's the right prescription.
I totally agree.
And then I guess we will, though, buy the AC adapters for the ONTs and hand those out at no charge.
Correct. Anybody can get a free adapter, so they can just plug it into the wall or their new UPS.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're going to have to, because the existing setup with that battery backup doesn't come with any sort of a way to connect the 12-volt line that goes to the ONT to to anything except that supply. So you're going to have to have the AC backup to do the trick, and the wall wart, essentially. That's going to have to be a part of this whole arrangement.
Yeah, the other thing that's coming up here is that we're considering doing the new U6 routers, which is going to be another whole equipment question upcoming.
Yeah.
So not for tonight's meeting, but we will start in the new year talking about that. All right. Any news on the cell tower at the top of Wendell Road?
They're just what they told me a month ago, that it should be running in the. He said a month or two from about a month back. So I call it the beginning of 2023, because he's a project manager, but he's a long way from the ground, and it's not his only project. So I figured to be pretty skeptical that it might take 3 months to, as we know from Verizon being involved in their fiber and their dark fiber and whatever. And I have not yet got a he said AT&T service, but I know I know, Jim, you're skeptical about that. That FirstNet is FirstNet, I think they're called, is a little different to AT&T. So
Mhm.
I'll harass him again just to make sure that there's two things that are coming up. But he sounded pretty definitive that there would be AT&T service. So
AT&T cell service, in other words.
that's what he said. Yeah. So now, yeah, and then I asked him. I sent him another email asking him to verify there'd be two services, FirstNet and AT&T, and he has not got back on that. And that's either because he doesn't know, or he doesn't know yet, or that I'm going to have to rattle his cage again.
All right. And originally we were thinking we were going to reach out to some of the cell providers and see if we wanted to offer them either lit or dark fiber for them to service this. And Graham pointed out that it might not be a space we want to get into to serve other providers.
Yeah, my big concern is that if it's running on our dark fiber, if we rent our fiber, then we're involved in repairing self tower service. It's wonderful to have it totally independent, because it does end up being the phone system that would work when we're not working. And also, obviously, if it's Verizon dark fiber, Verizon will fix their stuff much quicker than they would, allow us to fix ours. So it kind of, I think in an ice storm situation where poles get broken, I think it's kind of good to have Verizon with the high priority of getting the cell tower back up, and then we can be just worrying about our own customers and doing the best we can for them. So.
And Verizon is who is going to be servicing any carriers that get on there, right? I mean, that's the only way that they're going to get the fiber connection.
The fiber we saw being installed, the 144 fiber, that was being overlashed to Verizon.
Okay.
So yes, they absolutely will be, and obviously that's their plan, because 144 fiber running to that cell tower, they're probably designing them these days to do 5G from the towers or something,
Yeah.
But that's not going to happen very soon in Shutesbury. But they're set up ahead of time for that. But yeah, it would be very decisively a Verizon problem to repair their broken fiber to the cell tower.
So we should leave it at unless we actually get a request from some new carrier on the tower, we should probably just avoid that whole scene altogether. Is that more or less what we are agreeing to, or might agree to?
That's what I would suggest. And I don't think anyone's going to approach us, because they're used to doing these things in the way they do them.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have a clue who we are.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Shrewsbury's where.
Shrewsbury. They're very corporate. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It's a very corporate undertaking that's going on here, and they probably wouldn't even give us the time of day.
We would probably have to put on a big dog and pony show just to even.
Yeah. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. No.
Yeah.
All right. Well, just keep us posted, Graham, of what else you hear. Because I with our subscriber rate so low, I really don't think that getting, full service there in a resident or a end user way is going to affect us and our business. People, I think, are going to still keep our service. Cell service can't compete with what fiber delivers. But we'll keep an eye on it.
And it's also my understanding that that most people in Shutesbury who have subscribed to a service, they subscribe to Verizon and not AT&T, because AT&T is sort of not very well represented. So that's another negative for, as far as AT&T is concerned. Of course, AT&T's, service would pick up if they could provide it locally, but yeah, it's going to take a while for that adjustment to be made, and everybody's sort of plugged in currently to Verizon if they're plugged into anyone at all.
Yeah. All right, financial and billing. Jim, you had a question?
What was it? The non-payers. I was wondering if how that number has dropped any. I gave AJ Cashew a hard time for being, among them. I couldn't resist not doing that. So I was curious to know about that, how we're making out in that department. Of course, I'm sure you were going to comment upon it in any case, but whatever.
Yeah, we have about 45 customers who have still never paid, not paid. And so with the January bill that goes out at the beginning of January, they will be getting a final notice, and they will be turned off at the end of January. Because now we're August, September, October, we're almost at 5 months. So that seems very generous for non-payments. And we have about 100 that are just past due. 100 bills that are past due. This is not unusual of that, according to Sheld, of just, past people forget to pay it, are just behind. There's always a portion of the customers that are going to be lagging. So they're not worried about it. And we will get that with the remaining completely unpaid customers taken care of in January.
Do we have any idea what Crocker's uncollected percentage level was?
I don't know. Yeah. Again, Sheld said this is pretty normal for them. So
45 customers, it's between 5 and 10%. I mean, the fact that there's, people with past due balances, that's not surprising, but the fact that these people that have never paid, it sounds like how many of them are people that still just didn't get the message and aren't on the program here?
we're guessing most of them are just, and despite the letters we've sent, despite the emails we've sent, they're still missing it. But you bet when we cut the service, they're going to call.
Oh yeah.
So
what is how long does it take you? How long does a delinquent subscriber get before they get cut off?
According to our contract, normally it's 90 days.
90 days.
90 days, and the phone still works so that they can call customer service to pay their bill, and also so that they can dial out 911. So that continues kind of indefinitely. And we have allowed this extra long grace period because we knew this would happen. We knew people would just not understand that there's a transition and they didn't get the bill, and et cetera, et cetera. So in other financial news, we've been getting checks very faithfully from Sheld, around $29,000 a month for MLP fees. They have a nice, tight accounting system, which I appreciate. What I don't have is regular totals and deposits from Ryan. Steve, I'm still keeping track of everything, but he has no good way to let me know when checks get deposited. So he's just said, check in with me every 3 to 4 months, and I will let you know what has been deposited. So I hope that, I don't know if this is all right, but I think I'm just going to give like full financial reports of how much money we have kind of quarterly, because I don't have a good way to check on everything. I can tell how much we've spent, but I can't track what's exactly incoming. I can do it on my spreadsheets. But I can't like say exactly what it is.
Let me take a look back through some of the reports that I had gotten from Gail Weiss. There was one that did show the deposits. It was not a typical thing for her to do because, you know, she's looking into outgoing expenses. But there was something I was able to get from her that showed that. I'll look that up, and, you know, you need to request it to her by the name that's in her system. Can you give me the
Okay.
reports? I'll look that up and see if I can find that and get back to you on that.
All right. Yeah, they have a whole new accounting system.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know if that's relevant anymore. I kind of don't think that it is.
No, probably not.
Everything's just
Yeah.
kind of thrown out the window, and it's new. So I don't.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, on the new, I happen to know, unfortunately, something about this new accounting system, which I find very confusing and hard to follow, because I'm not George Arbonitis, an accountant, you know, who just breezes through these things. But at least in that accounting that we get on, you know, at FinCom all the time, the broadband or the MLP, all of those numbers are there in one place, whereas everybody else in town, all the other departments are spread out all over the place. It's very confusing to follow, but actually the MLP is the only part of it that seems to be clear and relatively straightforward. So at least that's a plus, I suppose. But the new accounting system is, I don't know, problematic at the least. But it's just hard to follow because it's a new language, a new way of sort of organizing data, and it's still, I've been complaining about it, and so have a few others as well. But
Yeah, personally, I like it, but I think it's only because I didn't know the other old one, and so it's like, well, this is new to me anyway. So yeah.
Well, our part of it is fine. I mean, our part of it, everything is together. It's clear. It's clear about what's going on. But other departments, other parts of the town it's not clear at all. So, but we'll have to see what you can get out of Gail, perhaps, that we can find, be able to follow this more closely.
Yeah, like I said, the accounting for what's outgoing is great. I like it. It's good. It's that I have no incoming records. So those have to be done by special request.
And I'm still not getting the periodic updates from Gail via Becky.
I think you've been removed. I do get them. So
I'll be glad to send you the.
You want to do that, and I'll ask Becky again to put me back on see if that doesn't.
Or Steve, I'll start forwarding them to you until you begin to get them. Otherwise, how about that?
Okay, great. Thank you. Oh, Gail, so it sounds like Sheldon's system is very good for the billing them for the MLP fees. Is it, would you say it's a simpler system than Crocker's?
Yeah, it's just so much easier to follow. It's like, if I laid this out, that's how I would have laid it out of not on these like multiple spreadsheets and differing amounts with no indicator of like, why is this customer only paying $43? What's happening there?
Yeah.
So
good.
Yeah.
How about on the other side of things, they're billing us for the fees, like, the backhaul and so forth. How's that?
Not great. Yeah. They're still trying to figure it out. They're good with new installations. We've got a system down for that where they send me estimates, and for new installs, I just look at them and approve them, and then they go off to the customer. And then basically what I'm approving is the site visit and our $300 subsidy, and just letting me know that, hey, there's a new customer who's getting installed. That's why it's coming to me first, and then it goes to the customer. So that's all good. We've paid a handful of those so far. And for the backhaul and the repairs, we don't have a system yet of the truck rolls and stuff. What they're trying to do is tie in truck rolls and inventory into their existing system, so they're not recreating invoices to give to us. You know, they want it to be automatic of like when a truck roll, they just kind of hit a button at the end of the month and all the truck rolls going to Shutesbury show up on one invoice. So they're still working on that. So in the new year, we can expect a fairly large bill for, you know, the repairs that have happened and truck rolls. We're all caught up on installs though.
And the backhaul, is that regular every month being paid?
We have not yet paid it because the first bill I'm expecting to come in January for November and December.
Oh, because we were still paying Crocker.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And we're gonna have one month of overlap there.
Yeah.
Because we needed to make sure that we had backup backhaul in case things went sideways.
In fact, we have that right now.
Yeah.
It was December. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep all this in my head. So.
Yep. Oh, trust me, if I didn't write this down, it would just be gone. All right, let's next talk about some of the key man planning. So I sent around the documents to all of you about what kind of just this is the hit by the bus scenario. If something happens to me, to make sure that everything can keep going in my absence, that all of you have all of the codes, you have all the electronic files, and have a general sense of our overall operations. So what else did you see on it, if anything, that was needed?
I thought you did a great job on it. I thought, wow, there's lots of stuff here. This is really comprehensive, really impressed with it. You said, don't worry about, you know, editing the fine details. Being me, I had to, of course, go through.
Of course you did.
Someday we can sit down and work on that. I've actually been under the weather for.
Yeah, you've been sick.
Yeah, I'm just barely getting going again. So I had intended to get a hold of you a little while ago and go over some kind of bigger thoughts I had about it. I just haven't gotten to that. I think, you know, into the new year, let's down do that. And there was nothing big that needed. Fine. I did think we should have a financial section in there that describes what the task, what your tasks are now, what had been my task for the bill paying, both our billing Shelled and then Shell billing us, and what you have to do to pay the bills, just the submitting the bills to the accountant, and how you keep track of them. Maybe something just a little broader thing, also mentioning the general manager's tasks, the fact that the general manager, since this is a town-owned operation, the general manager is a town employee, so technically hired by the select board, but to work under, you know, with the MLP board. Just, you know, a little bit about that link, and then maybe just attach the general manager job description. You could, the description you've got right now, that could be an addendum to the report. This is sort of, you know, for us, you know, we all know this, but maybe you won't get hit by that bus for a while, and maybe us old guys will have cycled off, and somebody be on the board who won't have all the historical knowledge that we have, and they can say, how does this work? So those are thoughts I had.
Yeah, I think it, you know, in addition to the key man planning, this can also the other purpose is exactly that, Steve, is that, you know, if we get new members or a new general manager or anybody that here, we can just hand this over so that we have documentation about how the whole operation runs, and nobody's having to recreate the wheel or figure things out on the fly.
A couple other little details. We maybe should make mention of the customers we have in Pelham, since that's an oddball thing.
Yep.
I think we have
Good.
two in
Yep.
Pelham.
Yep. We have two Pelhams, one Wendell.
We do have one in Wendell. I couldn't remember if that ever went through. Yeah.
It is. It's that guy way up on Old Egypt
Yeah.
Road that
Yeah.
technically lives in
Jim-
Wendell and pays Wendell
Yeah.
taxes, but is on
So,
our
You know,
pickup
if for some
customers.
reason, you know, some years from now, there was an ice storm and it knocked out one of them, and a new general manager is coming and saying, well, what's this call we're getting from Pelham?
Yeah.
Pelham. Also the few poles that we own, and I can't remember that whether it's 2 or 3. There's the one in Pratt Corner, and then there's one in Pelham Hill, and is there one service pole in Pelham? We probably should just have a place that mentions that we do own those poles and are responsible therefore for the maintenance. If, you know, one of those poles got knocked over, we
Mhm.
arranged to replace the pole, which probably Sheldon could do without any problem. But,
Yep.
just to have it in there.
Okay, great.
And in the various links, I still have on my laptop a link to the design through Westfield WG&E, which I find very useful to look at still. And it's through whatever that program they were using is, but I'm able to log right into it. And that might be something useful to have noted that that's available. And then you'd need what the logins are. I tried to add it onto my new computer, and I was going to need a login, and I just gave it up. Sometimes it's easier just to look on the old computer than to
Right.
put it on a new one. But
Gail, what are you calling this? The Keyman plan? I need a.
Yeah. KEYWMAN. It's a
WOMA.
woman, key woman. It's just an industry term for other businesses where
Okay.
it shows up in a lot in something called Keyman Insurance, you know, where
Okay.
like a company that has a CEO takes out an enormous insurance policy on their CEO, understanding that if something happens to them, that there's gonna be a period of transition and they're gonna lose business and their stocks are gonna go down. Like it's a we don't have to worry about that, but that I'm just
Maybe we
using
should think about that.
yeah, but I'm borrowing the term.
I see. Okay, that's the Keyman plan. All right, I just needed that term. Okay.
One other thing, Gail, the history section, that was incredible. I'm curious who wrote that, because some of that predated you. So
I did.
But even the early part before.
Yeah, I just went back in all of our records. It's actually on our website too. I wrote it like 4 years ago.
Okay. It was the things about, like, you know, in 2010 and so forth. I thought, well, that's before you were involved. So how did you just. I was curious how you got that information.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember. I don't know. I don't know who gave that to me, or it was somebody before my time. And I don't even know. I don't even remember like why. I don't know if I did it for the website and then, you know, put out a call to Becky or somebody of saying like, hey, what happened before I came on the scene? Because I want to put this in the history.
Yeah.
But
It was great.
Oh, good. Thank you.
I apologize, Gail. You must have sent it to me, but I don't remember reading it or seeing it in my inbox or whatever. But maybe I just, because I get so many emails, maybe I just missed it. But that's why I haven't been able to make any comments. But
that's okay.
But Steve is making wonderful comments.
Steve is making great additions. We'll tell you what. Why don't worry about it for now. I'm going to add these sections that Steve wants and that are great ideas. And
good idea.
I'll send it around again, and then perhaps we can approve it during the next meeting in January, and you know, make this our living document going forward. We don't have to decide this now, but I wonder the document is public, anybody can use it. It's not really meant for distribution, but it's not private. The thing that is private is all of our passwords. And
Mm.
so we need to think about where that should be stored. Because there's lots of passwords. There's everything from passwords to get into the National Grid poll site to Dropbox, where all of our engineering plans are stored, to the electronic files for broadband, where all of our just business files are stored. The email, right? Shutesbury at broadband.com. It's important for somebody to be able to get into that in my absence. So there's like, the generator passwords, there's so many passwords. So we just need to decide where those get stored and who has them.
Well,
So
just a printed hard copy for each of us would,
well, that's kind of what I'm thinking. It actually
Yeah.
it probably the most secure, more than sending. I'm reluctant to send it over email, you know? So, all right, I'm going to make a note of that then. Just printed hard copies, and everyone on the board gets one.
and or a thumb drive for each of us.
No, I like the hard copy better.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so, passwords bother me so much. I don't even use one of those online programs that store all your different passwords. I just think there's just too many things can go wrong, and people have reported them going wrong. So I keep all mine on a handwritten piece of paper, which is not in the computer, which can't be hacked, or, I think hard copy is a very good idea. But something that would be sort of out of the domain of of what could be cracked or hacked.
You got it. Would you all also like full hard copies of the entire Keyman planning document?
Yeah,
Like the actual document, or electronic copies fine with that?
I guess my only thought about that is, as you say, this is sort of a living document. This may change.
Yeah.
Really. We don't have any need to print this and have it bound in a beautiful, leather binding or anything, because, something's going to change and we do something differently and we think of something that ought to be added. So I'd kind of see an electronic copy that would be fine, and maybe always have a date for its last update.
Mm-hmm.
I think no harm in it out. I guess maybe that.
Yeah. I was thinking we should just go through the whole thing and update it every 2 years. I think 1 year would be just too frequent. But every
or
other year.
Update it when there's a significant change.
Yeah.
That,
All right. Last thing on the agenda, which I was kind of wanting Graham to be here for, but I'll give a short synopsis. So over the last year, a handful of Shutesbury residents and a couple of officials have asked me about solar possibilities and other electrical possibilities going through our existing MLP. And so I just did a preliminary little research project, and I met with Holyoke Gas and Electric, with Jim Lavelle and a couple of the guys on their team, just to pick their brains and ask them questions about what was possible if we wanted to pursue this. So
let me just get it. This is a solar generation municipal electric. Is that
correct? So the question is, what if we wanted to do something that hasn't been done yet and turn a broadband MLP into an electrical MLP, or add on electrical onto the services that we already offer? So the again, this could get very detailed, but the basics is the answer is yes, that we can do it. That we could own a solar field as us, as an MLP, and then we could sell the electricity that we make to one of two people. We could sell it to ISO New England, which is it stands for Independent System Operators of New England. And their job is to work as kind of an energy regulatory entity in New England. So they oversee kind of operations on a regional basis, and their job is to ensure reliability and establish competitive wholesale markets. So we could sell it directly to them as kind of the head organization that does this for New England. The other thing we could do is sell it to something called an off-taker. So somebody who would buy the energy that we produce under a PPA called a power purchase agreement. So it's a contract, usually good for 15 to 20 years, where some entity can buy this. It could be another electrical company, but it can also be something like a hospital that wants to buy solar electricity. And I don't really understand how that obviously they're not, like, we're not transferring the electricity we make to them, right? It's all done through credits and things.
It's like when you get an offer in the mail for, change your electricity provider, and you can get 100% solar, 100% renewable energy. It's the same power coming down your national grid.
Yeah, right.
But it's who the generating source is what that's about. So,
yep.
Is National Grid not would not be people to sell it to?
No, they could be one of the off taker.
Okay.
They could be an off taker. The third and final way that we could run this is owning a system and then offsetting municipal consumption with a virtual meter. So basically we generate the electricity, and then it runs our meters backwards for the town hall, for the elementary school, for the town barn, for the library, whatever town buildings we want.
And since the school site seems like a good potential site, and there's 3-phase power to the school. And that was sort of what would jump out at me, but
yeah. The paybacks for these systems can be about 8 to 10 years, so they're pretty good. And that after the first 10 years, everything after that is profit. There is a third option that we could actually become a competitive supplier in National Grid territory and actually sell to end users. Like, we could become a real electric company. Very complicated. They said, we don't think you probably want to do that. And I said, no, we probably don't. No, we don't. The biggest hurdle for any of these ideas is the 3-phase. Wherever the solar field is located, making sure that we can get the power from that solar field to the grid, and that there's infrastructure there to support it. If there's not, we have to buy that. The other thing is, if it's not municipal land, working out the lease agreement with the landowner. So, if it was somebody like Kohl's, we'd have to lease the land from them. So anyway, I realize this is a huge, kind of overall issue, and there's a lot of politics involved with it. And my question, and I just kind of did this on my own because I started getting questions, and I wanted to educate myself as the MLP manager about, okay, just what's preliminary, what's possible here. So what I want you to think about is, as the board, what do you want to do with this? That I don't think solar is going to go away. And is this something that we want to pursue as a possible thing that we do in addition to the broadband activities, is pursuing some kind of solar infrastructure ownership? And yeah, don't have to answer now, just something to think about.
Well, my
Positive
head,
feeling. Jim, you go ahead.
so I tend to see things. I, I sort of look at the nitty gritty of this in the sense that, you know, where would all these solar panels go? You know, where physically would the location of this source of solar power be located? And knowing as I do where the three-phase lines are in town, that's
That's a $10,000 question of
yeah,
like, well, if we did this, where and how? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, the Coles is the only one. I mean, Coles has land everywhere, as we all know. They're in a butter of mine, and you know, and God knows how many other people in town, and so they probably hold the most likely locations. But why would Coles want us to run a MLP? It seems, knowing Cinda Jones somewhat, and Evan as well, Evan Jones, you know, if they were to sort of move ahead on this as they did with what's over on Pratt Corner Road, they would want to own it and make the money off of it. And why get the Shutesbury MLP involved in this? Wouldn't be something that they would be, I think, particularly interested in. They tend to, Cinda Jones tends to want to own things herself, and I just. So that really cuts the possibilities of doing this down to a very low level. I mean, I would think. I'm just hypothesizing here.
Well,
They
that's
would-
why
they
the
would get
school
lease money.
site really appealed to me.
Yeah,
because
the school
three-phase
side.
power only goes what?
Yeah, using the school roof, if that ever gets done, which
Of course, the roof should have been, you know, designed when they're rebuilding it to make sure it has the structural members it needs to support that. But
yeah.
maybe it would be that would be an early thing to do, would be to have an engineer look at the school roof structure to see if it structurally would support the weight of the solar panels. The school parking lot with, you know, those canopy things they put, I think it would be great to do that. I know it's more expensive than just plunking the panels on the ground.
Why would the town want to, if the town decided that and people have suggested putting solar on the roof, the huge roof of this, of the Shutesbury Elementary School, but why would the town want to sort of, or do you think the town would want to sort of give us the keys to the leasing arrangements and all the rest of it? Wouldn't they want to hold on to it, themselves? Michael,
because we strike people as people know what they're doing.
Well, that's true. I agree. I don't know. I'm just,
Gail, I was curious though about who you've actually been approached by.
I have been, I don't know if they would like their names used,
Okay.
on,
Okay.
kind of in a public forum.
Okay.
So, yeah, yes. There's also, like the official, what is it, the Solar or Energy Renewable Group in Shutesbury, they wrote me a couple of months ago. And
Okay.
I feel comfortable saying that publicly, and asked
Yeah.
about possibilities. My answer then was like, I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm in the middle of this big transition. I can't help you right now.
Graham is a member of that, is he not?
Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
that, yeah, that's why I was
That's
hoping he
our-
would be here for
okay.
this conversation, but we'll have it again.
Okay.
And
Gail, thank you for reaching out to HG&E to get their take on it. That was a great thing to do. Really appreciate you doing that.
sure, you're welcome. Like I said, I think it's part of the job is becoming, understanding of the other parts of MLP operations, even if we're not in it yet. So yeah, and I think, Jim, you answered like why would the town give this up? And the answer is as a MLP, I believe that we have some advantages that the town wouldn't have.
Huh.
I don't know what those are. But I think that there's some things with the power purchase agreements that we can do that a town can't. Don't quote me on that, but I do believe that there are some advantages as an MLP that are not available for just a town,
Okay.
a town or a private individual doing this kind of thing. So anyway, just something to think about, and I'll bring it up at the next meeting again with Graham, or maybe give him a call, and just have a conversation with him about what we talked about and what he thinks should be the best move. We won't do anything without board approval, of course.
Yeah, it's a complicated subject.
Yeah. The one big change that's happening in 2023 is that SRECs are now available to MLPs. So the renewable energy certificates that previously were not available to municipalities are now. So that makes a big difference in the capital costs, a much sooner payback for the
This is
investment.
ESREX?
Yeah, yep. I don't know what it stands for. Solar renewable energy credits.
I'm trying to figure out a way to summarize all this.
You could do it just very, very simply of
Very generally.
you could just say something like Gail relayed what she learned from Holyoke Gas and Electric regarding MLP solar ownership possibilities. Just one sentence. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Oh, one more thing. I've been thinking about sending out postcards to all of our subscribers. And it's just kind of like a marketing awareness branding move, to thank them for their patience during the transition. And also to let them know that we have one of the most successful MLPs in the state, of highest take rate and lowest cost. And I think people are still a bit, don't understand that we do have a municipal broadband network, as strange as that sounds. So I'm just wondering if that's something that you would like me to pursue. It's going to be, hold on, let me do some quick, 300, 405. It's not going to be cheap for all the printing and mailing. It's going to be about $700 to do that whole thing. I am waiting for a quote from Becky to see how much it would be to insert something into our next R town instead. It's save on mailing, but because their third party mailing company is used, you have to pay extra for the insert, and we'd still have to get it printed. So it'd save on the mailing cost, but we'd still have to, get it to the new third party mailing company and have them insert it. Any thoughts on that?
Why not just include that in a short, just to give you an example, AJ Cashew, who the chair of the finance committee, really pushed for sort of doing a routine statement about the ins and outs of the finance committee and what it was doing, and all of that, because that was sort of absent from our town, and that was sort of included in with all the other sort of departments sort of voicing what it is. Why not leave it at that? In other words, use that venue, which wouldn't cost us anything, to make those statements, because people do read the Our Town, for better or for worse, and if we didn't do an insert or anything complicated, but we just had some simple statements about how the transition has gone, how well the transition has gone. I mean, those should be included in the Our Town newsletter without any extra problems or cost. Wouldn't you say?
Certainly. I can just put it in Our Town if you'd prefer.
Yeah, I mean, because we typically have something in each issue of Our Town, and sometimes we're kind of scratching our heads of, well, what to say this issue. So
Yeah.
here's a good little write-up we can have, because there's nothing critical that we need to get out to all our subscribers. The transition has happened, and other than those deadbeats, there's nobody we need to really be contacting. So yeah, I would think this could be just the subject of our next Our Town newsletter piece, unless if you really feel that we should do this, I have a strong feeling about it, I'd certainly consider it further.
Yeah, it's not hugely strong. I'm mostly just trying to I don't mean to sound like all corporate speak, but like push brand awareness for us, but we can this isn't the only venue to do it. So yeah, we can start with an Our Town article. I think I'll ask Janet if they can maybe do like not a photo, but like a cool picture or something to give it some pizzazz in the newsletter.
I bet you could talk them into putting it on the front page of the Our Town newsletter as well. I think it would be. I think it's of great interest to people. I mean, it's not just as sort of the normal kind of like our tax collector. It says the same thing every single time.
Right, and it's always on the first page. It's so boring. It's so boring.
I know, it's so boring. and we really have something very interesting to say, which people do care about a great deal in town. And I think putting it on the front page, and I think with the picture, I'm not quite sure what the picture would be.
I've got a picture we can use.
Oh, sorry. Well, what is it, Steve?
Of Gail shaking hands with the guy.
Oh, my friend Charlie.
That's an excellent idea.
My friend Charlie.
Oh, that's terrific. That's a brilliant idea. Let's go for that.
Gosh, I don't want to be on the front page of Our Town. Can't we just use like a picture of our hut or something?
Oh no, that's too boring. No, you're shaking hands with with Charlie Baker would be just that'd be just the thing. Well, I mean, your call, of course, but okay. It's such a great photograph, and I would highly. Steve is a great suggestion. Anyway, your call though, Gail. But by all means.
All right. Well, I'll think about it. I'll think about it.
Jim, we're gonna have to sneak it in there.
yeah, somehow. Oh. But that combining that in not only our success, but also the mention that that this has been a widely successful program in Western Massachusetts, and that not only have we benefited from it, and to the max, I would say, but also other towns have as well. And I think it's good to hear a good political story every now and then. And I think combining those two things, our success plus the success of the whole program in Western Massachusetts and how it's becoming a model for other parts of the country would be a very interesting thing for people to be reading. in the, in the
That-
town.
that's a
newsletter.
good point. We could tie it into that Ashfield event, which was the celebration of basically getting, 90% of Massachusetts wired.
Yeah. I think a good combo.
All right, I've made a bunch of notes on that. All right, anything else?
I can't think of anything.
All right, that is it on my list. I hope that you both have a you know what, it's solstice tonight,
It is
longest
indeed.
night of the year.
Yep.
I hope you both have great holidays, and I will talk to you next year.
I hope you do too as well, Gail.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We did it, another year.
Another year. See, another very successful year.
Yep. All right, good night.
Good night.
I-
Bye.